everybody. The junior girls soccer team just finished up. They tend to be the last ones off the field, so it makes a whole lot of sense. There's a whole lot of love there. Welcome to the first athletic assembly of the year. Tonight is a night for you and your teammates. So you will hear short season recaps, and some players will receive individual awards. But before we get to that, I'd like to kick off our first formal event of the year with a few introductory words from our head of school, a true Spartan, Mrs. Carruthers.
Sorry, I'm a little bit shorter. Good evening, coaches, athletes. Let's all please join together to offer our thanks to Dana Hospitality for a fantastic dinner. Many diverse cultures form the foundation of our school community. With this in mind, and before we begin, I would like to take a moment to recognize and acknowledge that Stanstead College was founded on what are the traditional lands of the Wabanaki Confederacy of First Nations peoples, more precisely, the Abenaki First Nation, original keepers of this land. Congratulations to all of you on a fun-filled and successful season of athletics at Stanstead College. This will definitely be remembered as a very different year, and the fall season will likewise be remembered as the first for so many things. The first time our practices and games took place almost entirely on campus, with few outside competitions and no tournaments. That said, I believe it can also be described as the first time in our history that each of our 4 soccer teams went undefeated, and our golf team had a perfect season. These are not statements that we can make every year. Much more important than wins and losses are lessons that we all learn through athletics: the camaraderie, the character building, the teamwork. I hope that you've all developed new skills, learned great sportsmanship. Finally, I hope that the experiences that you have shared with your teammates will be remembered for years to come. One of the traditions that we had to put on hold this year due to the COVID restrictions is our family-style meals. This is as close as we're going to come this year, and I'm sorry that our new students haven't had the opportunity to participate in one. Normally, these meals always begin and end with grace, a time to demonstrate gratitude and give thanks for all that we have. Please bow your heads for grace. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you can. Amen. Congratulations again. Have a great evening.
That's attractive.
Might have to turn it off and
yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Mrs. Carruthers. Now, before your coaches start coming up here to say a lot of nice things about your team and your season, on behalf of all of us in this room, I have a few thank yous. Thank you to Miss Perron and Miss Larousse-Roberge in the Health Center, and to our physiotherapist, Miss LaBelle, for being the dedicated medical professionals that they are. Thank you to Miss Nikki Campbell and Mrs. Wilkinson for running Outdoor Pursuits, our only true intramural option of the fall. Thank you to the maintenance department, the ladies in the laundry, our drivers, and our kitchen staff who work with us, not for us, to make sure that all of our program needs are provided for. Thank you to Mrs. Wolf, who helps me in athletics. Thank you to Miss Alta Sheldon, who runs everything over at the gyms and was the only reason all of your equipment kept magically appearing at the start of every practice, all sanitized and cleaned and safe and ready to go. Thank you to all the coaches, not just for their commitment to your program, but because they are always trying to make your athletic experience as memorable as possible. Your coaches are going to be thanking you tonight, but I hope you take the time to thank them as well. But most of all, and I don't usually say this, most of all, I want to thank all of you in this room for making athletics work this past term. In the most messed up year ever, with no leagues, no tournaments, no real competitions, I asked you to still give your best, work your butt off in practice, sweat, get better, be committed, and have fun in athletics. Even though it's not going to be like last year or any year, ever, I asked you not to whine and complain. I asked you instead to make the most of the athletic opportunities we did have, and that is exactly what you did. You had to constantly wash your hands and follow a million rules and answer the same annoying COVID questions every single day, but you sucked it up, you did everything we asked, and when you finally got to your court or your field or your course, you were enthusiastic and 100% committed. I could not be prouder of being at this school and of being a Spartan, because you guys, you made the best you could out of this crazy situation. So, a big round of applause to all those people I mentioned, including you. Yes, you can clap for yourselves for making the first sports team a huge success. People like clapping for themselves. Who knew? So before introducing the first speaker of the night, a few COVID rules, of course. So you don't have to wear a mask at your table, but if you come up to receive an award and take a photo, your mask must be on for the photo also. Anyone coming up to receive an award, there can be no handshakes or hugs. The most we can do is a elbow tap. Coaches, you can take your mask off for your speech. And when Mr. Ross takes a photo of you and your coaches with your award, everything must be physically distanced. All right. Did I say Mr. Ross?
Yeah.
I meant Mr. Ross Murray. Okay, all right. So enough of that. Without further ado, get this started with the first program of the evening. Speaking on behalf of the badminton team, Mr. Wolf. I'm going to turn it off and then wipe it down. You're live.
Thank you, Mr. Van Dyke. It's been a long time since I've been up here, and I want to thank Ms. Carruthers for saying grace and for saying a different one that I said. I usually said the same grace every day for the last 15 or 16 years, so it's nice to hear the school grace, I suppose. I want to echo Mr. Van Dyke and thank everyone here for making what probably we thought at the beginning of the term might not work into such a really good term. And the coaches did their part, but as Mr. Van Dyke said, everyone in this room went above and beyond, I think, what we expected, and you guys did a great job, so thank you again. And if you want to clap for yourself again, that's okay. I would also like to thank Mr. Van Dyke and Mrs. Wolf for an incredible job of organizing the athletic term in probably the most difficult circumstances that we've ever had to encounter. And I want to say it just came off flawlessly. So thank you, Mr. Van Dyke and Mrs. Wolf. Thank you. And she's not here tonight, but I really enjoyed the opportunity to coach with Ms. LaRoche. I didn't know her well because I wasn't here last year, but she was a terrific coach and really loved by our team, and we miss her tonight. Now, badminton. You probably didn't know that badminton is the world's fastest racket sport. It became an Olympic sport in 1992, and it is a huge sport overseas. There are professional leagues, professional tournaments, professional circuit, and if you really want to see just how fast and incredible this game is, just go on YouTube and put in pro badminton. It's really quite amazing, the skill level. Now, I had not played this game in over 40 years, and it was a treat to be able to go out and hit the birdie around and watch our players. We started in September. It was a new fall sport. We had 18 players, juniors and seniors, boys and girls, and we got to know each other over a fun 2 months. And it was a terrific group, enthusiastic, polite, respectful. They enjoyed coming out every day, 4 days a week, and playing. Yes, we had competitive tournaments, singles and doubles tournaments, usually with candy as the prize for the winners. But the players really just loved playing. And almost every day, because we had the whole gym to ourselves, we weren't on any type of schedule, we'd go at least about an hour and 10 minutes, and then lots of players would play afterwards and stay late. And usually we always had a badminton outing as well on Saturday or Sunday. So we are building the foundation of a huge badminton culture here and you can still have the opportunity to play in the spring. It's going to be 3 terms this year. So get in, try the tournaments that we're gonna have 2 tournaments this weekend, and it's just great to be a part of. And I really think our players, I mean, I was just amazed at the improvement in our players, and I hope that all of our 18 players got something out of it. But you know who got the most out of this? It was me. And it was such a joy to be able to come out every day, especially after sitting in front of a computer screen for most of the day. And it really was, as I just said to Riho, the highlight of my day was to come out and be in the gym with our group, and so much fun to be with everyone. And you guys were just a great group to be around, and I really enjoyed it. I think it was about the first time I'd ever coached a non-competitive sport, and yet I think it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. So I really want to thank everyone on our team for making it so much fun for me. I don't know if it was fun for you, I hope so, but I really had a great time, and that's all because of you. Now, on to our awards, and the first person I want to just say something about, she's not winning an award tonight, but she was a huge help throughout, and that was Alicia, who was the ranking prefect and really like a third coach out there. And Alicia, I just wanted to say how much I appreciated everything you did and all the help that you gave me and Ms. LaRoche. Very much appreciated. Our Bantam S winner. Now this guy is a very quiet but very determined competitor, and he came out every day and he loved the game, developed a love for the game, really improved over the course of the 2 months. He went from someone that you would maybe struggled a little bit with the game at first, but he really became an accomplished player. And I hope he continues to play because he is so quick, and he really has a future in this game. He has great skill, great attitude, and I'd like Ren Nakamura to come up and get his Bantam S. Come up, Ren.
Yes, you'll need him just up here. Mike. Right here.
Good job, Brent.
Mask. Yeah. And did you give him the yes?
Yeah.
Give it to him?
Yeah.
Just
Well, I don't know if you gave it to me, but I gave it to mine.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, he's on.
Now, I mentioned that Ren was a quiet but determined competitor, and I'm going to say that the Junior S winner, I'm going to give you his name first, because he was a determined competitor, but he certainly wasn't quiet, and that's Braden Chastanet. Braden is a very good badminton player. He loves the game. He's very enthusiastic, and I also want to point out that I kind of relied on Braden. Very responsible individual. He was the guy that sort of got the room organized, made sure that we only had the right number of people going in and out, making sure that the equipment was looked after, and he was someone that I could always count on. And I could also count, no matter what I said, on him asking me a question about what we were going to do that day, or how the tournament was going to look, or what sort of special, exceptional rules might apply in the tournament. Braden was very good at that, but he certainly is a deserving recipient of the Junior S, so please come up, Braden.
The other two go together.
Yeah. You want to switch? Oscar? Yeah.
Okay. Great. Good job. Well done, Bryce.
Do they come up first?
They come up together.
Yes, I know. So our final two awards, we have a Senior S and a Sportsmanship Award, and two separate winners. I'd like to speak about the Senior S winner first. Exceptionally talented badminton player. I would say, and I think everyone would agree, the best player on our team. I was trying to think of an animal to describe him, and I would say the snow leopard. He is quick, he is powerful, he is focused. This guy can cover the court like no one I've ever seen. He is so quick sideline to sideline, and was just the ultimate player on our team. Also a very nice gentleman, and the winner of our Major S is Michael Wu. Now don't come up, sorry, don't come up yet. Senior S, sorry Michael, Senior S. And joining Michael up front, the winner of the Sportsmanship Award, also a very good player, but someone who's getting better every day. And I would say this player does not yet know how good she is. She is discovering just how good she can be. She's a student of the game. She's very keen. She comes every day to play and to get better. She's a very steady, calming influence out there. Likes to win and do well, but she's a pleasure to play against and to play with. So Riho, if you could come up and accept the Sportsmanship Award along with Michael for the Senior S, please.
Photo together. Photo together.
Yeah, all together. That's how a lot of them got started with the karaoke and stuff. I think it's worth it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this thing's here. The trophy thing's here. Your name is on that trophy. I should be proud of that.
Good job, Rick.
This is spell. Did you wipe it down already?
Yeah.
You did?
Perfect.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Representing the volleyball team, there'll actually be two speakers for this program, and we'll start with Mr. Robitaille.
Stressful. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna start. I just want to thank Faiz for being there with me, because without him, it would make it impossible. Mr. Faiz, sorry about that. Mr. Faiz. Okay, so sorry if I'm reading part of it. It's just because I'm stressed, and like English is not my first language, so I'm starting. So this year, I had the pleasure to coach beach volleyball with Mr. Van Dyke and Mr. Faiz. So last year, I have coached intramurals where a philosophy was, if you sweat, that means you're working way too hard. So this year, I still had that mindset when Mr. Van Dyke asked me to go over this new sport. I quickly realized that it wouldn't be the same. First, we decided we would have to make some cuts. So students really started to work out. But after a week, the young group dynamic was so awesome and positive that we had no choice then to keep everyone. The first week, I have to say, they were difficult. So for example, Hallie was like running away from the ball because she couldn't bump the ball because she was injured. Or Diana was laughing more than she was actually playing. And Melissa was spending more time practicing her TikTok dances than play volleyball. So in short, I wasn't really optimistic about being able to play real games. So I was questioning our decision to keep everyone, but finally, wow, what a great decision, because every single one of you contribute positively to that successful interscholastic sport. Mr. Van Dyke? So it was a real success this year. So I just want to talk about fast, so a couple things I will remember from this year. So first, I have to announce our co-winner of a Junior S, Anderson and Mauricio, who were big boys on the court, but such a babies when we have to separate them because they were way too strong. So it was a good chance that we could count on Trophim, Harvard athlete, and Luca, who has more style on his play than with his flip-flop and in the gym. The exchanges were so intense between those four that they sometimes forgot about other members of their teams. So how many times Anna or Philomena being nudged by their own teammates? Actually, too many. So a real chance that Haley, our sportsmanship award winner, was there to stand up for the girl and ask the boys to play like gentlemen. For example, another example, when we needed sassy jokes or laugh or just strong serve, we counted on Tere and her big guns. Huh, Tere? Oh, finally, my biggest revelation is still Madvaisi, Ryan Young, who took at least 2 or 3 weeks to open his mouth, but when he did it, wow, that was we quickly understood that he would never tolerate Trophim's bad calls. In short, I couldn't ask for a better team this year. Such a fun team that keep getting better and better every week and have so much fun to play. I will for sure miss our little push-up and running session, but most certainly our million laughs. So thank you guys for everything. It was a great season. Yeah? So you can come forward to get your award.
Those are the two, Trophy and Anderson. This is Haley and I'll give you the
Okay.
So guys, she did it.
So the reason there are two speakers is because we ran two completely separate groups all season. Miss Robitaille had the younger group, and I coached the older group. So speaking for the older group is me. So I did not know what to expect when we decided to split volleyball up into two groups, and I ended up with that crew sitting down there in the corner. I love volleyball. I grew up with it. But what were these guys going to do with the sport that I love? Were they going to take it seriously? Were they going to try? Were they going to care? Or were they just going to fool around for 2 months waiting for basketball season to start? I honestly, those are the thoughts going through my head, and it shows how little I know. Because I should not have doubted you guys for a second, because your self-motivation and desire to compete are unbelievable. Every drill we did in practice, no matter how simple, once we made it a competition, the intensity and the trash talk would start right away. We could do something as simple as bumping the ball into a square on the court, and every one of you would be 100% fixated on winning that competition. And then there were the games. I honestly never thought intra-squad volleyball games could be that ferocious. Logan running into walls to save balls. Ike, laser focused with little beads of sweat running down his face. Richard Pan, and Richard Pan can fly, by the way. Richard Pan jumping 3 feet in the air to punish somebody with some vicious block. And if that ever happened to you, we had an expression that was called, "you've been panned." So it happened to lots of people against Richard. Will Duhamel taking 30 full seconds of concentration to prepare to serve. And it was a killer serve. It was worth it every time. Andre consistently getting away with carrying his spikes and driving his opponents crazy. Ben Chadwick making every one of his teammates better with his setting and his leadership. Gordon's been hitting the weight room pretty hard this year. And after he had the game championship winning block, he was flexing and screaming, and he was all ripped up. And finally Gage with his team rallying cry. Gage, would you do me the honor, please? Your rallying cry? Okay, thank you. Okay, that was not. Did I really actually wonder if you guys were going to care? Shame on me for doubting you. And it wasn't just your intensity that impressed me. So wanting to win is great, but being able at the same time to be a good teammate and have fun, that's not that easy for hyper-competitive guys like you. And at the start of the season, some of you weren't very good at this. You wanted to win so bad that if you lost, you couldn't enjoy any part of it. Even the trash talk was a little too serious at the start of the season. But just like you got better at volleyball skills, a lot of you got better at this. There were more celebrations after good plays, and instead of being mad at someone who made a mistake, you all got better at supporting that teammate and moving on to the next point. And that kind of change in attitude is what makes this season even more of a success to me. That's what makes me smile when I think about this season, along with the Diva Championship medals. So thank you, boys, for a fantastic season. I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I did not expect your intensity and how exciting and fun you guys would make it, and I've never been so glad to be wrong. Thank you. I have one Senior S to present, and it goes to the player who best combined talent and intensity with the ability to have a great time and make it fun for his teammates. If he wasn't diving in the sand, he was being the team DJ. If he wasn't hammering home one of his cruise missile spikes, he was wearing beach volleyball sunglasses fit for an 8-year-old girl. He likes to call himself Mr. Clutch. I don't know about that, but he's a great player and a great teammate. Senior S goes to Gage Larkin. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I wish. Sorry about that. Oh, next program to be recognized tonight. I don't know if anyone enjoyed coaching in the fall more than she did. Speaking for the golf team, Mrs. Smith.
I think he's right. When Mr. Van Dyke approached me about the possibility of coaching a golf team this fall, I went, like, duh, of course. So my first thank you is to Mr. Van Dyke for actually making this an offering for the fall. Believe me, with the weather we had and everything else, there was no better way to spend the afternoon. Second thank is to Mr. St. Hilaire, our faithful driver, always smiling and always flexible with our changes and plans. And finally to Mrs. Wolf for joining me as a coach this year. We played together a lot this summer, and it was fun to just keep on going and playing golf 4 times a week. It was wonderful. Okay, so golf is deceptively simple and endlessly complicated. It satisfies the soul and frustrates the intellect. It's at the same time rewarding and maddening, and it is, without a doubt, the greatest game mankind has ever invented. That's a quote from the late Arnold Palmer, arguably one of the best golfers of all time. And it's so true. I mean, what's so hard about hitting a little white ball and putting it in a hole? Absolutely everything. Just ask these guys. So every day during this beautiful fall, we had the pleasure of playing at one of the most beautiful courses in Quebec. The sunny days, the gorgeous foliage, even the kids were appreciating, wow, it's really pretty up here today. And it gave us a chance to get off campus. It was a dream come true. We had a variety of challenges over the course of the season. These always, of course, came with prizes in the form of donuts or fudge or something generally quite sweet. We had tic-tac-toe chipping, we had putting contests, and we had our very own Ryder Cup. But the best was the challenge we had with ourselves each and every day to try and get better at a game that we all loved. Over the course of the season, everyone's game had good moments, and some moments that we'd prefer to forget. I was playing with David, Charles, and Cedric one day, and the third hole, which runs along the highway, is out of bounds if you go across the highway. And between the three boys, they put 5 balls across the road. So there were days like that, but then there were days where you couldn't miss a putt, and every drive went straight down the fairway. Excuse me. And that's what Mr. Palmer meant about the game being maddening, yet rewarding. One day you can't hit anything, and the next day you could be on the Pro Tour. Our final challenge was the big one against our friends from BCS. They put together a team to take us on in a little friendly competition. COVID rules meant that we didn't play in mixed groups, so Stanstead players played with Stanstead players and BCS players played with BCS players. So no one knew what the results were until everything was tallied. Shooting the only sub-80 score of the day, Cedric led the Spartans to a 21-stroke victory, though. We didn't have the chance to go back to Lennoxville for a rematch due to miserable weather, but I'm confident that you Spartans would have prevailed and won again. All in all, 8 kids and 2 very lucky coaches had the chance to play a lot of golf, all while having a lot of laughs and a great time. It was a pleasure to have each one of you as participants. Rosema, as the only girl on the team, you braved the boys' club. You have a beautiful swing and great fundamental skills. Consider playing a lot more next year. Rosema also has a snack hole. Every day, when we get to the 5th hole, she'd pull a snack out of her bag. So Rosema and Matt both learned the hard way, though, not to leave snacks in their bags, because the chipmunks at the golf course chewed holes in their bags. Anyways, live and learn. Lex, you had some good days and some bad days, but bad knees and migraines unfortunately got the best of you. Keep at it. Don't quit golf. Then we have Jason. Jason, I didn't think was a golfer. Jason surprised me. He hits the ball a country mile and has a lot of talent. But Jason is the slowest golfer on the planet. I have never seen anyone take as long as he does to hit a ball. Matt, you took up the game this summer because you worked at a golf course, and I think you should continue with it as well. You've also got a really nice swing, and your temperament is perfect for golf. You don't get stressed by a bad shot. Oh well, keep going. David, we created a monster in you when you joined the team. Until you became a boarder, you lived at the golf course. Every Saturday and Sunday, he was there. Didn't matter who he played with, he was there. The last 3 members of the team have been involved with golf and me for a long time. They've been part of our local junior program. Charles, the only kid I think who ever broke a club taking it out of his bag. Liam, the only non-11th grader on the team. It certainly helped your game to play every day, and I can't wait to watch you next summer. And then Cedric, the kid who lives at the golf course, basically. If he's not working, he's playing. Thank you all for a fantastic season. It really was a lot of fun. And I want to finish with one more quote. This is from Bobby Jones, excuse me, the first man to ever win all majors in 1 calendar year. And with our new reality, I think it's very fitting. Golf is the closest game to the game we call life. You get bad breaks from good shots and good breaks from bad shots, but you have to play the ball where it lies. Thank you very much. So we have 2 awards. We have a Sportsmanship Award and 1 Senior S. Sportsmanship is going to a young man who literally was a good sport. He loved to make jokes, but he also took the brunt of the jokes. He never cared who he played with, In fact, when he played on these Saturdays and Sundays, he was playing with a group of strangers. Didn't matter. He just loved the game so much he wanted to go play. He was positive, he was polite, and he was always smiling. He took the rousing about the bad shots with a grain of salt, but he also had no qualms about dishing it right back. Nice shot. Did you mean to put it in the pond? So congratulations, David, on your Sportsmanship Award. And the Senior S, I'm sure is no surprise to anyone. Cedric is a golfer through and through. He's a true student of the game. He's always trying to improve whichever part of his game is not working. He'll spend hours and hours putting, chipping, doing whatever. Most importantly, though, Cedric is a gentleman both on and off the course. He's an accomplished golfer, he's composed, he's serious, he's patient, and he's consistent most of the time. He's not easily flustered. 2 years ago, he competed against Stanstead, but I'm really glad that he's one of us now. Congratulations, Cedric.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Next up, junior boys soccer, represent Mr. Liverpool.
Thank you, sir. That wonderful introduction. Good evening, folks. How we doing? Good? Good night? Yeah? Excellent. Fantastic. Just trying to loosen up the mood a little bit here. Junior boys soccer. Until this year, I've been a Bantam boys soccer coach, and so I was a little apprehensive about moving up to the junior level. I'll be honest with you, I really wasn't that pleased about it. I enjoyed Bantam, I liked where I was, I wanted to continue that way. But in life, it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do. But I did it, and I'm very, very pleased that I did do it. It was a wonderful experience, and I couldn't be more pleased with this season that we had. That was the preface. I'll actually start the speech now. When I think about the 2020 junior boys soccer season, there are quite simply 3 words I think that I would use. Those 3 words are short and sweet. Firstly, let's deal with the short portion of that previous statement. With only 2 games played over the 6-week season, to use the word short is probably a bit of an understatement. As participants and athletes here at Stanstead College during these times of COVID, I'm sure that you all know how difficult it is to arrive to each and every practice every day willing to put in the type of effort that we as an athletic program expect of you. Yet this is exactly what the young men on this team did and accomplished from the first practice in September to the final whistle of our final game 6 weeks later. I'm filled with pride with the way that these 12 young men competed with skill, effort, and camaraderie. And I consider it a privilege to have had the opportunity to co-lead this team to an undefeated season during which we outscored our opponents 13-3. I used the term co-lead earlier because I didn't do this alone, and there's no way that I could have done it as successfully as I did alone. I was very blessed to be able to rely on my co-coach each and every day. She was always on time, and she was prepared, and to be honest with you, she just made my life a heck of a lot easier. So thank you very much, Kira. Your effort, very much appreciated. And with that, I think I'm going to move on to our Junior S and Sportsmanship Awards. I would like to start with our Sportsmanship Award. And it's just, it's very funny because some of the things that have happened throughout the course of the night tonight just reiterate, or I guess strengthen, the thing I'm about to say about this first young man. So, this first young award winner, to employ an oft-used phrase, he probably needs no introduction. He's kind, he's friendly, and polite. In fact, I think it's pretty much impossible to get past this young man in the hallway without a, "Hey, sir. Hi, Mr. Liverpool." Believe me, I've tried. Okay, I've tried. And it's this that I really respect about him the most. And the spirit and energy that he put forth at every practice was really quite impressive. He yearned. Now, when I say yearned, I mean he yearned. Like, it was almost like he tensed up so much because he wanted to lead every chant that we had after every practice. It was always, "I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it," after every practice. I don't know if you guys have noticed tonight, but there's been one clap before every other clap. There's just before we start, there's a, wait, okay, and then everybody, and I bet you know who that young gentleman was. And that just goes to show his eagerness and his excitement at almost everything, and I love that. His love for this team and for this sport were on display all season long, and it's for these reasons that the 2020 Junior Boys Sportsmanship Award is bestowed upon Safe Alexander Pardhan. Yep. Now I'd just like to go through the next portion, and I have three junior S's that I would award, and you guys will all come up together with Safe once we're done here. Let me find my place. All right, so the final portion of my time in front of you will be spent discussing, I guess, the sweet portion of our season, and for that, I think that I'll turn my attention to our three Junior S winners. The first young man has been forced to suffer through 3 straight seasons with me, and on the best of days, I'll be honest, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. But to sum things up rather succinctly, this young man has made me a better coach. I only hope that he has maybe learnt, 1 or 2 things from me along the way. But once again, like I said, short and sweet, for his positive attitude, his tireless work ethic, and overall commitment to this team, a Junior S award has been earned by Chaz Granier. The next young man to be recognized for his commitment and dedication to the Junior Boys soccer program played a major role in our success both on and off the field. A true leader by example, this young man led our team in goals. Sadly, he also led us in shots that sailed 20 or more feet above the net. But hey, nobody's perfect, right? A man of few words, at least around me anyways, this young man quietly willed, no pun intended, others to follow in his footsteps. The younger members of this team benefited greatly from his presence. For this and much more, a Junior S award is allotted to William Towner. The final award of the evening for the Junior Boys soccer program will be in line with the theme of this speech, once again, short and sweet, emphasis on the short. This young man and I have not always seen eye to eye. He has changed, and changed for the better. In past seasons, he was not always as mature and accepting of positive criticism. He is now. And for this, and much more, he has earned a Junior S Presley Langevin. Come on up, guys. I'll come back for that. Yep. second technical difficulty. There it is. All right. Everybody's fine?
Here we go, Doug. Thank you. Well done. Thank you, Coach Liverpool. Our final program for this session of the Athletic Assembly, speaking for the junior girls soccer team, always a man with a message, Mr. G.
You got notes? I do, but I don't think I need them. I think I'm good. I'll just keep them there just in case. Yeah, I might get a little preachy on you, but that's just what I do. I titled tonight's speech, The 3 Lessons of COVID. There was a woman who worked here a few years ago by the name of Vaughn Nguyen, and she was in charge of our IT department. And she used to say when the internet crashed, kids would be freaking out. Like they'd be beating down her door in a panic. And she's like, it's like these kids think the internet is human rights or something. And that made me laugh. And I think that we feel that way about sports, right? And you think that you have the right to play your sport. And so in a year like this year, you realize that sports are not a right. Sports are a beautiful privilege. Think about that. A society has to function really well for us to have sports, right? People have to have good jobs, and people have to have enough time off in order to bring their kids to play sports in leagues or to buy the equipment, or just think about professional sports leagues. Think about what a luxury that is. Sports are a beautiful privilege, and it can be taken away. As we've seen in the last 8 months, there are lots of schools who don't have any sports at all. So lesson number 1, don't take sports for granted. They are not a right. It is a beautiful privilege, and you should be incredibly grateful and thankful for that. All right, lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, when coaches and students found out there might not be any games this year, that kind of changed things, right? People were kind of like going, oh, well, what? No games? Why are we doing this then? What's the point? What's the point? Really? I have the answer for you. The point is practice. We love practice. Am I right? We love it. Honestly, this was like a dream come true for me. A season without games. We had one, but a season without games. I love practice that much. Honestly, they mean everything to me, and if you think about it deep down, it's the best part of your day, right? You're thinking about practice throughout the school day, and you can't wait, and here's why. Because humans are incredible. We've developed all of these games, whether it's like on skates with a puck, that's insane, right? Slapping a tennis ball over a net or a volleyball, like think about this. This is wild, like kicking a ball into a net, like, and you get to do it with your best friends. Think about that. At the end of the day, you get to go out there and that's not all, an adult. A coach has planned the next hour and a half for you, or in our case, until it gets dark. The next hour and a half has been, you don't even have to think about it. An adult, somebody who knows what they're doing, has planned the next hour and a half of fun playing a sport that you love with your friends. That's the definition of awesome. Practice is the bomb, baby. Think about that. It is amazing. And games can kind of get in the way of that. Honestly, over the years I've noticed people kind of get focused in on the games, the scores of the games. You played 12 games in a season, you won 6 and you lost 6. So how was your season? Meh. Average. Really? Average. You forgot about all those practices that you got to spend an hour and a half with your best friends playing a sport? Like, we got to get our priorities right. So that's lesson number 2. And lesson number 3 is, for me, my team this year. I can honestly say, through all of my seasons of coaching, I've coached a lot of years and a lot of different sports and a lot of different levels, I can honestly say you'd be hard-pressed to find any coach in this room any coach in this school or any coach in the world who feels like I feel right now about our season. And that's because I loved every minute of every practice. It's really hard for coaches to feel like that. The chemistry has to be right on the team. The girls have to get along. They have to be kind, they have to be nice, but they also have to compete because coaches want to see that. They want to see girls actually work hard and compete out there on the field. So I had the perfect combination. And that is the greatest gift you can offer a coach, is to come to practice every day with your enthusiasm and positivity, but also with that competitive edge that you want to improve even though there's no games. Are you kidding? That's the dream for a coach. So I just want to end by saying thank you. That was amazing. So 2 Junior S's and a Sportsmanship Award. The first Junior S goes to Gloria Riddle, because she's the Energizer Bunny, but she's not just the Energizer Bunny, she's like the Energizer Bunny on steroids. If you know her, right? She's just trying to do everything right all the time. In fact, she's trying to do too much. It's to a fault, really, and I'm trying to coach her to do a little bit less and to leave a little bit more space on the field for her teammates. But, you know, that's kind of a nice problem to have as a coach, so Gloria, thank you for that. That's amazing, and you set the standard for everyone on the team. And the other, you can come up in a sec, and the other girl who's getting a Junior S, you may have taken for granted, ladies, on our team, but I never did. I realized as of day 1 that we had something special in the nets. It's not every year. Often I have to force a girl to play nets, and like against her will, because she doesn't want to, right? So Maddie, who came to us this year, had already played nets, and she's an all-star, she's amazing, and she's an aggressive goalkeeper, which I love, because she's running out, charging down the strikers, and, you know, shutting down their angles, shutting down their options, and taking time away from them so they don't get a good shot. And she proved it against BCS when we played them. She earned herself a shutout by stonewalling them, and they had some good scoring chances. So Maddie, you were amazing. Thank you. You and Gloria, you both were great this year. And the Sportsmanship Award, finally, I would love to give it to the entire team. I would. I really would. And I can't get in here into talking about every single player on the team, but I could. I honestly could, right? I could talk about every one of you and the qualities and your personality, the trash talking that we did throughout the season. You all have such great, amazing personalities, and it all worked so perfectly well. But there were 2 girls who stayed every day. Right? And I never had to ask them to carry the balls, they just did, and the cones, and they just did their thing to make the team better. So it's kind of a great lesson for all of you too, is just what are you doing to make your team experience better? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself that every time you're on a team. What am I doing to make the experience here better for myself and all the teammates on my team? Right? And I've coached these girls for 5 seasons, I think, in soccer and rugby, and I'm not sure I'm going to get another one this year, but if I don't, ladies, the ride has been amazing, and that's Simon and Chris. Come on up, all 4 of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grenier. That concludes this session of the Fall Athletic Assembly. Thank you all very much for your attention and comportment, and congratulations to everyone right here in this room for everything you did to keep Stanstead College athletics going strong in this strange year. No one anywhere did athletics this past fall better than we did it, and that's mainly due to all of you. I'd like to leave you with a final quote from NFL Hall of Fame football player Mike Singletary, a ferocious, intense middle linebacker who was named the Defensive Player of the Year twice and who won the Super Bowl in 1985. Do you know what my favorite part of the game is? The opportunity to play. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a good night.
We have to flip the tablecloth.
I think they think we have to.
Evening. Let me first say how happy I am that we were able to be here together tonight. Despite all the difficulties caused by the pandemic, the college has been working very hard to keep Stanstead College a very close community, and I think they're doing a great job of it. I want to give a couple of thanks myself. Firstly, to Mr. Van Dyke for all the effort that he put into putting this season together, as well as Mrs. Wolf, and of course Alta, who has a workload that has increased exponentially this fall. I also want to say thank you to Miss Hamilton for helping me coach the tennis team, and a special thank you to Jacob Kaczynski for being our COVID captain this season. At Stanstead College, tennis is usually played only in the spring. This year, however, we had to make a go of it in the fall as well. Playing tennis in the fall had its own particular challenges, namely the weather. When the courts were too slippery to play, we made the best of the situation and went to alternative training ideas. We once, as a team, took an online tennis quiz answering over 40 multiple choice questions about different terms used in tennis. We scored 63%. However, in our defense, how many of you know what a double bagel is? Or a moonball? No, we didn't. We do now. Luckily, the team's performance on the court was much better. To add a little competitive spirit, we created a ladder system allowing players to challenge each other to a set during and outside of practice. I was very pleased to see how often players like Jackie, Lucy, David Dong, and Crystal would challenge each other during evenings and weekends. This kind of thing demonstrates how much they enjoy the sport. There was a lot of movement in the ranks throughout the season, right up until the very end. But just as impressive as the competition was the level of improvement I witnessed in the players. Albert's serve at the beginning of the year was, well, kind of inexistent. But by the end of the season, he had one of the most precise serves on the entire team. David Huang could not keep a ball in the cage when he first started playing. Well, that hasn't really changed much, but the effort was there, and that's what counts. That's what it is to be a Spartan, putting in that effort. So tonight, Ms. Hamilton and I will be giving away 3 awards. I'll ask that the winners please wait and come up together at the end. The first award goes to a young woman who dominated the courts the entire season. She has the most precise serve of the entire team and always seems to know where the ball is going. With a small stature but a big game, a junior S goes to Lucy Wang. The second award goes to our most eager competitor. He started the season near the middle of the ladder, but by challenging other players during and after practice, he worked his way to the top. He finally made it to second place on the last day of competition. A junior S goes to David Dong. Our third and final award goes to someone who not only tried their best throughout the season, but also did it with a smile. No other player played more games than she all season. Always humble in victory, graceful in defeat, the Sportsmanship Award goes to Crystal Lynn. Congratulations to the 3 of you. Please come up and get your awards.
This one's for Lucy. And then I'll take a picture of you.
So,
Lucy, David, this is Crystal, and I'll get you the Twitter too.
okay.
Yeah, you can see it in the picture back.
I smile. Yeah, got it. Thank you, Coach. The next program to be recognized tonight is the first program that can award an MVP trophy. So if an MVP trophy is awarded, tradition dictates that we all get up and give the winner a standing ovation. Speaking for the cross-country running team, Miss Reynolds.
Yeah, it's a tough crowd.
Tough crowd. Is this going to stay? Wow. Okay, apparently I've got to be quick because Ethan has a test tomorrow. First of all, I want to thank Alta for being, Alta. I also want to thank the Health Center for providing us with tons of ice, and to the students in the Outdoor Pursuits group that helped us out at our home race. Woohoo! So normally in cross-country running, athletes have to quickly adapt to running certain distances, like super quickly. So this is always a challenge, because after sitting around all summer, being sedentary results in strains and injuries, and frankly, in many cases, people just can't run 6K off the bat. So bring up the fall of 2020, there's just so many unknowns, whether or not we're even going to have any races. I quickly came to the conclusion to not focus on increasing running ability and speed, but focus more on conditioning. So at least that way, athletes would be in overall better shape. So there was an interesting mix of athletes this season. There were some with a couple seasons of experience under their belts. There's some complete beginners and groups of athletes with experience in different sports like hockey or cycling. I'm noting you, Jerome. Thank you. The season began with some basic running and body weight strength training, and soon sore muscles began to set in and the whining began. We moved on to incorporating some trail runs, and soon everyone was up to speed. To test their endurance and to get a baseline of what they could accomplish, a third of the way into the season, they were given a quasi-challenging workout that sounds like a lot, but really isn't, but they really enjoyed doing it. So they were then tested again later in the last week of our practice, and I'm glad to say there was improvement. We learned about 2/3 of the way into the season that we would in fact have a couple of races against BCS. So we had about a week to prepare. Trail runs ensued, and they were race ready. I challenged the team to run above their level, because I thought a couple of them were capable of doing so, so two runners took me up on that. So we were off to BCS, and the nerves began to set in, because most of them hadn't performed a race before in their lives. So after the race finished, Antoine, Aiden, and Asher came out on top in the senior division. Joey and Marcus came first and second, with Jerome coming fourth in the junior division. And on the girls' side, Mia came third, with Cindy and Amy coming in fifth and sixth at the junior level, with Amelia being the only bantam girl on both teams, just kept pace with the junior girls and did a bang-up job. So when it came to our race here, the nerves were a thing of the past, and everyone surpassed the previous race. Even Ethan, who wasn't able to finish the first race due to injury, stepped it up and finished fourth. So a few things we learned as a team this year. Number one, Aiden's 1-rep back squat is apparently over 300 pounds, but he can't do a body weight squat to save his life. Prep boys can be very whiny, but they are gentlemen. Everyone's mobility, including my own, is beyond horrible. Liam and Ethan never stop talking. Cindy doesn't cheat. Everybody underestimated themselves, and cross-country running is more than just running. You get out of it what you put into it. So all in all, the season was a success, and to Antoine, Ethan, Aiden, Marcus, Amelia, Cindy, Jerome, Asher, Mia, Amy, Liam, and Joy, I hope you all had as much fun as I did. You enjoyed your season, and I thank you for your hard work and dedication in the first 2 months of school. So now I have a few awards here. The first two I'd like you to come up together. The first award goes to Joey Hocko. He runs actually like he weighs 200 pounds, but that doesn't slow him down. He works incredibly hard, spent the season trying to better himself, came in first in the junior division in both races, very coachable and polite, reminds me of a sled dog. Junior S goes to Joey. The second award is the Sportsmanship Award. It goes to one of our hardest working athletes in the group. She is also one of the slowest. Cindy was often the last to finish challenges. When others are done and stretching, Cindy is often continuing to put in the work to finish up. She could have cheated and said she was done, not completing full reps or taking shortcuts and cutting corners on runs, but that isn't Cindy. She works hard and gets everything done. Your hard work has not gone unnoticed. Congratulations, Cindy. Come on up, folks. The next athlete I would like to recognize is Antoine. Antoine had an injury early on, and I was concerned that this would sideline him for the rest of the season. However, with physio and hard work, he made it back with plenty of time left and was able to work his back to the top, earning first place in both of our races at the senior level, despite the fact that he is junior age, earning himself a Senior S and the William Greenshields Memorial Trophy for Excellence and Leadership in Cross-Country Running. Please stand as we recognize Antoine Remillard.
Sorry.
I keep wanting to perfect my smile, and then I realize it doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Did you clean us already?
Thank you, Coach. The next program to be recognized, representing senior girls soccer, Mr. Peasley. Get up before. Get up before so it make my sense.
First, as much as my team would like it, I am not doing this in a British accent. So this was my first year as head coach of senior girls soccer, and gotta say it was a memorable one, even without all the restrictions and all the changes that came out of COVID. What really made it memorable was a great group of players, and even though we only had one game this season, it was a hard-fought 2-2 tie with BCS in a game where, like we did all season long, we were dealing with a lot of injuries. But the girls came together as a group, put in an amazing effort, and they should all be proud of it. But I want to let you know what made this team a special group. So we'll just go through the players one by one. Starting at the goal line, Sophie. Sophie took on the challenge of being our goalkeeper, a position that she had never played before. She put in a great effort. She worked on positioning, challenging the ball, and on a rainy day, we even had her practicing diving in the mud for balls. Jo was a key component of the defense. She actually made it hard for me to run offensive drills during practice because she shut down the middle so well. And she certainly never backed down from a little bit of body contact either. Sophia Farfan, a solid presence all the time with a great kick to back it up. In our season-ending game, she seemed to just be in the play whenever it was in our zone, and her clearing kicks saved us a few times in that game. Ariella joined us after quarantine and was simply a ball of energy on the field all the time who just never stopped running. And she apparently doesn't think she knows how to play defense. She's definitely wrong about that. Victoria Garcia, always smiling, always working hard, and though she definitely prefers using her right foot, the left foot is starting to come along. Vicky Azar, our usual sorts of music for warm-ups, a fierce competitor, and it was very hard to convince her not to play in our season-ending game despite the fact that she had a broken finger. And this is where the injuries kind of start. Tammy, solid competitor in practice and in our game. Her volleyed goal off a corner kick for our second goal of the game was just a great way for her to wrap up her Stanstead soccer career, especially as she was playing that game injured. Leah Rose, fighting a nagging injury pretty much all season. She got taped up and competed hard in all of our practices and in our games, and sometimes she probably competed a little harder than she should have. Julia shoots equally well with both feet, which is basically a coach's dream when you're looking for someone to play down the left side. She scored our first goal of the season and was a constant threat throughout the game, despite her too recovering from injury in that game. Mariama, probably the hardest shot on our team and great ball handling skills. She certainly left me in the dust a few times. Despite some terrible leg cramps in our game, she fought through it and had some really close shots, with one smashing off the crossbar. Nicole, another one of our players, dealing with a nagging injury. But she fought through it the best she could, a hard-working player who put in a very solid effort in our season ender. Fernanda, I'm not sure how she returned to the team after an injury that left her on crutches for several days. And then suddenly, she was back, working hard as ever, rifling shots into the top corner. Sophia Parody, a little interesting side note with her. Her dad was also a hard-working player when he and I were on the same soccer team here at Stanstead. And she follows his trend, always putting in a full effort. She too dealt with injury and put in a really gutsy performance in our last game, and our only game. Leonie, another player dealing with injury, and she is a great example of the kind of girls we had on our team. Her injury didn't actually allow her to put on cleats, and she still ran as much as she could in our practices in her socks, even on the cold, rainy days, and there were a number of those, doing what she could to stay part of the team. So between injury, COVID rules, and only having one game to look forward to, these practices could have easily turned into something quite negative. But Miss Kirby and I are very proud of this team. They kept their spirits up, they stayed positive despite everything that was going on, and they really worked hard to improve individual skills as well as their performance as a team. Even when I did ask you to run more laps than you wanted to. But I also really want to thank Ms. Kirby for all of her help, for adding a lot of ideas for practice, and basically for just helping out with everything to do with the team. We want to thank all the girls for the memorable season. And to the grade 11s, please start running in July so that you're actually ready for next season. All right, and now for the awards. We'll have you both come up together afterwards. First of all, for her excellent effort and attitude throughout the season, her skill on the field and willingness to just help out with everything, a Senior S, as well as the Sportsmanship Award, go to Tammy. For her solid presence and ability to score, should come up alone, sorry. Okay, we'll come up alone for that one. So we'll have Tammy come up now, please. Yes, I did. Okay.
Nice short socks, Tammy.
All right. And the last one. So for her solid presence and her ability to score in so many ways, the Senior S, as well as the MVP trophy for senior girls soccer, goes to Mariama. Congratulations.
God, Mariama. Are you kidding me?
Is she cramping up?
Yeah, no, she's fixing her hair.
Good.
I hope it's not getting me shocked.
Yeah. Oh, let me put them up. Sorry.
Thank you, Coach. The final program of the Fall Athletic Assembly, speaking for the senior boys soccer team, Mr. Simard.
Usually I can't get Mr. Van Dyke to be up at a social venue and getting a Diet Pepsi for me following me while you're up, but today he's doing everything for me. Thank you very much. This is also the earliest we've ever done the final speech on the Athletic Assembly, which means that Doc is probably still awake tonight. Yes? Okay. There's a first for everything. And thank you, Mr. Van Dyke, because I came prepared. Tonight for the, and you took care of that. I thought that would blow you away, Mr. Murray. The season of COVID, as everyone has talked about already, so I don't have anything new to add to it, other than for historians here, this is the worst pandemic in over 100 years, and you are living through that. So you will remember it for that reason, among others. A couple of numbers tonight. 22 is the number of players that we had on our roster. I think double some others here. So a lot of people, many of them nice, hard-working gentlemen to work with. We had about 30 practices, or as I said in the write-up at one time, practice. I don't know if you've seen the Allen Iverson one. And 2 games, 1 home, 1 away. And the other number that comes to mind is over 2,000. I did a little math, over 2,000 of something. You can probably figure out what it is, and that is the COVID questions asked in practices by us every day. And we started really doing it quite well. Have you been within 14 days in a place where, and then by the end it was 14 symptoms, others. And that was how we were doing the questions. We did it, and by the way, if you were at BCS, as you know, they had 4 questions, so it would have been over 2,500, I think, Docky. And also outdoor sinks and masks and all the things that we dealt with, so good on you all for doing that and doing that well. Some of the, obviously there's disadvantages to having such a large roster, but the biggest advantage was that we could have basically full team scrimmages, and that was at quite a solid level. So that was nice to see. The other number is our record, which will go down in history, undefeated, as Mrs. Carruthers said. 1 win, 1 loss. 1 win, 1 tie, and no losses. And again, to borrow from Mr. Van Dyke, years and years ago, I coached football at the time on the Crater out here. I was the athletic director, and this gentleman was the senior girls soccer coach. And he used to always come back from a tournament with a banner, and he would get up and have a speech for one of the captains to say. And it might have been the 14th out of the 18 at the tournament, but if they had that, they were saying what it was. If he came back from a tournament where they were, it wasn't established, but they were between 5th and 8th, Mr. Van Dyke would always say, we ended up 5th, not, right? 5th. And in this context, Mr. Van Dyke, I believe that we can call ourselves the champions of the Eastern Townships, going undefeated. A couple of lessons, short and sweet. One for the team is maturity. Maturity, we are the senior team, the top team in the school in that sport. So carry yourselves in that way. Practice that way. and let your play speak for you, to your fans, to your peers, and to your opponents. And the other one is sportsmanship, and we broke it down last year and had a lot of discussion about that. Some of you will remember that. Nothing's going to be perfect, but the lesson is try to be better. And enough said. Thank yous. Miss Alta was already thanked, but I think you should know, for those who are new to the school, she's worked here for over 40 years, and she was about to retire from the Sports Center this summer, and she came back. And so if you do see her, she drives by in a little silver car. Please make sure that you thank her, because she went beyond to be there for us this fall. BCS, thanks to them, because without them we wouldn't have had the games that we did have, okay? And it's good to test yourself against the others. Thanks to Dom for setting in and being that last-minute keeper when we needed you, and doing a great job for us. Thanks to Logan Van Ass for reffing what can only be said was a difficult game to referee. Shannon and Mr. Spurk for looking after us in terms of photos and so on. And Doc Standage, I didn't think I would be able to say that we got through a season without getting a picture of him falling asleep at an away trip. We only went to BCS, but I managed to get one this year, as usual. And thanks to everyone, all of you sitting here, thanks for what you did in this tough year. All right, we move to the awards. You know that there are no major S's being awarded this year, which is a shame, but it's the reality of the situation, so we have to deal with it and move on. What we're going to do is bring all the award winners up together, and there will be sportsmanship followed by senior S's, and I will say a few words about each and then ask them all to come up together at the end with Docky for the photo. Sportsmanship goes to a gentleman, a lifer here in terms of soccer, and a solid defender, and a very nice fellow, Nick Pecora. Congratulations to you. And the senior S's I'm going to do very specifically alphabetically, because if normally we would have had 2 and 3 here and 2 and 3 there and give them in different order, these are done totally alphabetically to say that all of these people are getting an award this particular year. So the senior S goes to the following. With skill beyond skill, with both feet, a positive attitude, and a real head turner when you watch him play, is George Correa. The next player is strong, fast, and very talented. And you've heard of triple threat people before. He's a quadruple threat person. He can manage to play, coach, referee, and give a running commentary while doing it, and that's Hadley Forbes. The next one is a solid defender who's really come into his own this year. I think he played all minutes, and he tried to even become an offensive player from his defensive role in the middle, and that is Ho Lee. And then Mr. All Effort, all the time, a stalwart, the hardest working man, Jack Lipman. Talented, hard-working goalie with a great attitude, stayed back every day, never said no, never was tired, and always did what he could for us back there, and that's Johan Torello. And the last is not a surprise, another talented forward with so many skills, and that's Ryan Young. Those guys can come up, please.
Trey?
Yeah.
These are George and Ryan.
I'm not going to remember that.
George and Ryan and
Ryan and George are these two? Ryan and George and those two?
George is over there.
George.
And Nick. Congratulations. How are you guys? Yeah, they might have to. You might have to stagger on this picture, guys.
Over here for stitch two players together.
Yeah. Panoramic level. Stagger.
Yeah, stagger. Step forward, right? Yeah.
Stop, you get in there. Get some articles. Oh, it wasn't on at all?
No.
And the final issue, the MVP trophy, the Bobby Moore trophy. We went back and forth a lot on this. If there were not going to be majors, we thought maybe there wouldn't be a trophy. And then went back the other way and said more than one, and so on. It went back and forth and back and forth. And finally, we came back to make the decision that we would choose the person who has the skills, gets the excellent part of it done, and also the leadership, sportsmanship part of it done. So congratulations to George Correa.
Thank you, Coach Simard. That officially concludes the Fall Athletic Assembly. Thank you all very much for your attention and comportment. Congratulations to everyone in this room right now for everything you did to keep Stanstead College athletics going strong in this strange year. I'm telling you, no one anywhere did athletics this fall better than we did it, and that's mainly due to all of you. I'd like to leave you with a final quote from NFL Hall of Fame football player Mike Singletary, a ferociously intense middle linebacker who reached the peak of his profession when he won the Super Bowl in 1985. Do you know what my favorite part of the game is? The opportunity to play. All MVP trophy winners, please stay behind for one more photo with Mr. Murray. Everyone else, you got a little free time in the residence before second half starts. Thank you, congratulations, have a good night.
Well done, Mr. Van Dyke. That was
It's done. It's done.